Hey, we're back. This is John.
It's Paul.
And we don't have an Eric because he's too busy working. He can't come play.
I don't know how we're going to make it through without him. We're not prepared. We don't have stuff.
You know, for the two guys that started this damn podcast, we really rely on him a lot.
Yeah, we do.
We don't have a fucking set list. We don't.
He's so good at it. Like,
yeah, we didn't even have a real plan. We were just like, what the fuck are we going to talk about?
we didn't write anything. We're just going to
We're just going to wing it. Yeah, we're just going to wing it. So obviously you can see we're going to talk about Book of Boba Fett. We're going to go over episodes 3 and 4 because although we've all watched 5, Eric really wants to be a part of 5. So we'll hold off on that, even though I really want to talk about it. So we'll just bite our tongue on that one.
No, Boba
Fett. Nice pilot episode. All right.
Season 3, Amanda.
All right, so well, before we get started, so how you been? I know we're actually on a schedule again, so it's nice. What you been up to this week?
Man, let's see. Gail has my wife had some work meetings down on close to iDrive. She does HR consulting for this company, and they had an offsite meeting, and so she was down there. So the kids and I have been hanging out for the past couple days. Yeah, good time.
Nice. Yeah, we've had our lighting, like I was showing you. I think I don't know if I've actually talked about it on the camera, but we've had LED lighting started to get installed on the house. So like holiday lighting and shit, you know.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they were supposed to do it on February 3rd, but they had an opening and they called us today. We're like, hey, we can like start today and finish tomorrow on the house and then come back and do the lanai like next week or whatever. We're like, yeah, come on, let's go. I mean, we already paid you, so whatever. So they started today, and yeah, it's funny because it mounts just behind the gutter on like the little eaves, and the color matches perfect. Like you can't see it; you just see these little dots. So it's awesome.
You can change the colors and stuff.
Yeah, it's all LED on your phone. Oh, nice. Well, that didn't work. Because
it didn't.
It didn't work at all. Here, there you go. Oh, okay. You do it on your phone. There's an app, and you can change all the colors. They have like preset colors, and then they have a whole bunch of other colors that you can set. But then they have like a whole Facebook page that like all of their people that have, you know, their clients, they started a Facebook page, and what they do on there is they share different hues for different things if you want to do whatever. But like I could set like, you know, Noah's favorite color is purple, whatever. His birthday, I could light the house up purple. And then cool. And then or Christmas, I could set like on my calendar on the thing, I could set from this day, you know, Thanksgiving until January 10th from 5 o'clock to midnight, turn on, and I can do Christmas colors or whatever I want to do just like that, and it'll just turn on by itself.
Cool.
And then the last thing that they told us that we got to get on there and play with is on their Facebook page, they drop like before the football games, they drop like the exact hue for every team that's playing.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so like if Heather wants to put the green and yellow for the Green Bay Packers or whatever, you know, we want to put the Bucks up there, we can do that. So it'll be fun. So
drop me the name of the company in the chat. Like we're not trying to make an ad for them. We're not.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll send it to you. But I will say, like Heather said, when we first had the guy come out and show us the stuff, she described it to one of her friends. It's very, very cool. It's very, very expensive. It's very, very happening. So it is quite pricey, but with the lifetime warranty and the customer service on the back end, and just the fact of how cool it is, it's worth it. And now seeing it put up, I was like, wow. And actually, Kevin from football had it done too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, after we signed up to do it, he was like, oh yeah. He's like, I already have it. I was like, wait, what? And he showed me his house. And he's like, yeah, look, he showed me a picture. And he was like, yeah, I've got it. He's like, it's amazing. You'll love it. So yeah, it's so ringing endorsement from the football team. Um, and then what else has been going on here? Oh, Heather got COVID. Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
That
I'm
happened
covered.
Tuesday. Well, I guess Monday was when she started. Sunday and Monday is when she started feeling it. Sunday is the day we're going off of. But Tuesday she took a test, pop positive. So she, she's a Decepticon or an Omnicron or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But yeah, so she's been hit pretty hard with it. It's like I had it back in August, if you remember.
Mhm.
Me and Noah got hit, and neither one of us got hit hard. She's like, you can hear it, constant like phlegm and bullshit, and just she's down for the count.
Oh well.
So yeah, so ironically, because of my job, uh, I called them and told them what was going on, and they were like, "Well, you're vaccinated, but this, that, whatever. Um, our protocols say you have to quarantine. So you have to quarantine 5 days after her first exposure, which would be like a symptom, and they started Sunday. So they went to like Friday. And then you have to quarantine 5 days after that to make sure you don't show any symptoms. So I got 10 days home with FMLA.
You're getting paid
I'm getting paid
on
and
vacation,
I feel fine. So I'm sitting here. Yeah. My manager was just like, yeah, I know you got projects around your house. Go have fun. I
right?
was like, all right. Yeah. So, I get up, I get Noah to school, and then I do shit around here. I'm like,
Cool.
whatever. Fine. It's like, it sucks to be me, I guess. I just, you know, I put on a mask when I get near her to bring her water or whatever. like,
Right.
like, I'm sorry you don't feel good, but keep that shit to yourself.
Yeah. Right.
I appreciate 10 days off. All right. So on to Mandalorian. I'm
Not
sorry.
yet.
Not yet. On to the Book of Boba Fett. All right. So episode 3, 4. I guess we should probably caveat this with the fact that this series is not getting the best reviews. There's been a lot of complaints about it.
Yeah. I jumped on Reddit. I don't know. We were talking about episode 2 to look at some stuff. And look, so we've said this before. Like Star Wars fans suck sometimes, right?
Most
Like
times.
you like the thing so much. It's weird to me in a place where you like something so much that if it's not what you consider perfect, you're going to trash it. And so things that were, you know, not terrible, like they trash.
Yeah.
And actors that I thought did a good job in things, they trash because they didn't like that, you know, uh,
This
such
happened.
an this right or this thing or that one person gets too much screen time or something like that. Like and that level of fandom is something that I think happens a lot in sort of our sphere of stuff.
Yeah, because it happened
Right,
in
sci-fi
He-Man.
nerds. Yeah,
It happened in He-Man. And while I saw where they were coming from with that one, I didn't get the amount of animosity they had toward it. I was like, dude, you guys are like if you could, you would have strung people up.
right.
It was crazy. And it's the same thing with Star Wars fans have been like that since the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, right. Well, and comic fans didn't like that. They thought Captain Marvel was too feminist or something, and so they trashed the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
And we said back then too when we reviewed that movie, like we enjoyed the movie. Brie Larson, however, she's a different story. Like she's definitely like that's where I see the complaints like should be aimed toward, but not the movie. The movie was good.
yeah, it was good. Um, so you take that thing that happens, and now you've got a character in Boba Fett that has been a fan favorite forever. This guy is loved. We said this in the last couple episodes, right? He's had 6.5 minutes of screen time in 3 movies. And that's the official sort of canon on what he's done.
And he's beloved.
And he's beloved. And so you get a show all about him, and people are hating on it. And I thought, we said this in episode 1, it needs some backstory. Like, how did we get from the last time we saw him falling into a Sarlacc pit to now he's out? Like, you got to explain that.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, oh, it just happened. So you got to explain some of that. That said, episode 3 is not good.
It's not good. It's not the best thing I've ever seen. Heather and I sat through the Eternals, and I think I would sit through the Eternals again before I watch episode 3 again. But so that being said, let's get into it. And we'll just, you know what? We're going to roll through episode 3 and 4 because, like Paul said, we don't make a set list without Eric. So we only have half of episode 3 written down that I could hurry up and do. And we don't have a real fucking plan for this thing. So we're just going to start now with spoiler for everything for 3 and 4. Yep. And that way we just cover ourselves and we're done. Holy shit. All right. So I guess basically the thing opens up with Fett talking to his 88 droid about people or whatever's going on within his realm, right? And they bring in this watermonger, this local guy that, you know, he's a water farmer or whatever, or watermonger is what they call him.
Yep, he sells water, right?
Yeah, so like he sells water. Yeah,
right. So a fishmonger sells fish, and a cheesemonger sells cheese.
So he's now you see where I guess Luke's aunt and uncle were selling their water to, right? Like a guy like this guy. So this dude comes in and it was funny because he had a funny way of delivering everything he said, because it was he was insulting Boba Fett, but at the same time, like, protecting his own ass. Like, you know, hey, you know, look, don't kill me. I'm just saying, this is what I see. This is what I see.
Yeah, I just heard this.
On. I think you're great, but here.
This guy thinks you're an ass.
So basically he tells him, look, nobody on Tatooine respects you. And that was like Fennec Shand gives him a look like, I'm gonna fuck your ass up, and that's when he starts with the I will. Hey, I'm good. I love you, but this is what's going on. Good.
Here's the thing, and I said this in our group text. What I don't understand how they've written it this way that no one would respect him. So Boba Fett before Return of the Jedi was potentially, in the way he's described, even in the first Star Wars and in Empire and Return of the Jedi, he's the top bounty hunter, right?
Yeah.
He's known across the galaxy as someone you do not want to mess with.
Yeah, and if you go into the expanded universe, you've got, like, he's got that reputation, but here.
So you got to imagine, if you're even, he to me is like sort of late John Gotti, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have to be in the underworld to kind of know who John Gotti was.
Right. You just knew who Boba Fett was.
Correct. Most people, you know, unless you lived on some faraway rock, but if you were sort of, you knew, even if you're in the criminal sort of underworld, you would have known who Boba Fett was. Certainly, I would think. Then you hear he died, right? And you're like, oh man, how did such a tough guy die? Oh, he fell in a Sarlacc pit. Oh, that's terrible. But if you see him again, you're like, holy shit, how did you survive a Sarlacc? Like, not only were you before intergalactic badass, you now have survived a Sarlacc pit, which no one does. Right. People should be trembling at the sight of him, and
when he's
no one
walking
is.
around, because we're in Mos Espa, right? When he's walking around there in that armor, they should be like, oh fuck, something's about to
Yeah.
go down. Because even like to your point, and I forget which episode, 3, 4, or 5, so I might be spoiling something for 5. But somewhere in there, when he meets somebody, I think it was actually no, it was when he meets Fennec Shand. So it's probably 5. So I'm gonna spoil something for 5. Sorry. Um, she asks him who he is, and he says, "I'm Boba Fett."
That was 4.
Oh, that was 4. Okay, okay, good. So we'll get there, but we're just gonna jump ahead for a second because we're on the topic. She says Boba Fett died,
Mhm.
and he's like, yeah, no, Now he's out of the armor at that point because we know a Mandalorian. The two of them show up, and he gets his armor back. Um, there I get where she's not quite afraid because you could just be dropping a name.
Mhm.
However, if you go back to Mandalorian when uh what's his name? The sheriff, the
Oh,
Cade, no, yeah, something like that.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Right.
Yeah.
I can't.
The guy who bought the armor off of the Jawas
Uh-huh.
before Boba Fett came, before Mando got it, and then Boba Fett came to get it.
Yeah.
When he walks through the town, everyone steps back.
Mhm.
So, like, obviously, and we all know the armor is what does it, right? They all look back like, "Oh shit!"
Yep.
So he walks through, and it's not even like Boba Fett in the armor. It's just, and is he kind of piecemealed it together at the time, but they still step back out of his way.
Mhm.
So why aren't they doing that here?
Right.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. So I don't know. All right. So anyway, yeah. So this guy, yeah, he says nobody respects him, and he says, "Look, I respect you. It's not me." He's like, but very Weasley, right?
Yeah.
And he says, but so Boba Fett's like, all right, we'll handle that. And he says, well, I have a petition. And he says, look, there's this local street gang that's been harassing me, and they've been stealing water from me. And Fett says, okay. And the guy says, well, they're cyborgs. They've been enhancing themselves with parts or whatever. And, I can't do anything about it. So Fett decides he's going to look into it. He shows up outside the guy's shop, and the cyborgs are out there just like taking the water out of the guy's fountain or whatever. And Fett tells him, hey, stop stealing. It's not your water. And they're like, yeah, it's ours if we want it, basically. And he says, yeah. he does a real oh fuck, I lost the term. Boomer. He does a real boomer thing. He's like, go get a real job.
Yeah.
He's like,
You kids get a job.
yeah, you kids get a job. And
All he needed to say was pull up your pants.
yeah, right, yeah. So the girl in the front there, I guess she's like the active leader or whatever. She's like, there's no work. Look around. So he says, all right, then you'll work for me. Which again, we go back to how Fett's changed over time. I mean, just going off of his reputation that apparently is non-existent in this world. It's just to us. But he's changed now where he's going to try to like build his own little empire. He says, well, then you come work for me. And the watermonger comes out and he's pissed. He's like, you're supposed to stop them from stealing, not hire them. And he says, they owe me for the water. And when Fett asks him how much, he says like 1,500 credits. And Fett looks at him like, for water? And then he realizes that the guy is scamming everybody in the area for the water. So, quickly he turns the tables on this guy like, oh, no, okay, I see what the problem is here. You're just a douche.
Right.
So he says, we'll pay you 500 credits, whoever it is. And the guy's like, that's absurd. Fett says, take it or I'll shut you down. I'm in charge here. So the guy takes it. And Fett just tells him, look, you guys better be as good as you think you are. Let's go. And he takes the little biker gang with him.
And these guys are they're locals called mods, right? I don't think we talked about this. That have augmented themselves with some sort of droid part to be like a, I don't know, like a cyborg almost, right? So one of the guys
Yeah,
has
they
this
don't
eye
call them
thing.
cyborgs. I called them cyborgs because I couldn't.
Yeah, one of them has an eye thing, and one of them had something else. And I guess there's some shop where you can go to have that stuff done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll learn a bit more about that later.
Yeah.
But so they leave, and we flash back. Fett's back in the Bacta tank. Flashback, Naboo, little baby Fett watching Django take off. And then
The Book of Baby Fett.
The Book of Baby Fett. Then we cut to Tuscan time. And there's Fett riding a bantha through the tribe, and he's off to go see the Pikes, who were the those fish-looking people from the other episode that had all the water and everything on the train. So basically, he tells them, you're going to pay the Tuscans for tribute to go through their land, right? That's you're going to pay them protection. And the Pikes tell him, well, we already pay the Nikto biker gang, so we're not paying both of you. And Fett says, well, the Tuscans have been here longer. And the guy says, look, we've already decided we can't pay both of you. It's not good for business. So Fett says, we'll take care of the Nikto biker gang. You don't have to worry about them no more. And when he leaves, he sees the entire village that he was a part of is slaughtered. So he does a whole burial, burning at the pyre ceremony. Yeah, more of that. And then, like right toward the tail end of that little flashback, all of a sudden, he gets ripped out of the goddamn box tank by Christian. I can't say his name. Chrysanthemum. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. You saved me on that one. The Black Chewbacca. Black Chewbacca rips his ass out of the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And literally beats the ever-loving shit out of Fett. Just like kicking the shit out.
Yeah, Fett's like in his underpants and he's soaking wet from the back to stuff and he's just getting hammered.
Yeah, I mean, this guy bites his hands, gets him into bear hugs, cracking ribs. He's kicking the shit out of him, no matter what he does. And Cyborg biker gang comes in.
Here's the thing. This scene is shot in, I thought it was terrible. Like, this is not a well shot scene.
No.
It's weirdly slow. For everything that we talked about in episode 2, where he's teaching them to ride the speeder bikes and approach the train and take over the train thing, the speed, it looked like that was going super fast. This looked slow, and not even like that $6 million man artificially slow. It was just slow.
It's slow.
I don't know why.
But there's more to come on that one.
Yeah.
Way more.
And so like the throws were slow. Kursan's reactions are slow. Like the whole thing's slow.
Yeah.
And then the girl comes in and she seems to be able to just kind of like walk right up to him. She just kind of slowly walks up and stabs him in the leg.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even like, I don't remember if he actually had Boba in a bear hug or if he was doing something, but he's sort of standing there. And
he had him in a bear hug at one point, and then I don't remember if she comes in right at that point but it's right around that point.
But she just sort of, she's not even being super sneaky. She's not invisible. She just sort of do.
Well, yeah.
And
she sent him a telegram before that, and then
and then the other two mods show up, and then at some point I think the guards show up.
Yeah, the Gamorrean guards show up. That was one where at least you had muscle that could fight this guy. And even still, they were getting their ass kicked because, I mean, he's a fucking Wookiee.
Yeah.
One of them gets bit in the shoulder.
I think that's one of the guards.
Yeah, the guard. The guard gets bit in the shoulder. Chrysanthemum bites the hell out of him and throws him to the ground.
Yeah. But the whole thing is like, you're just watching it and I'm like, is this what we're doing? This looked like practice. Yeah. It looked like the stunt people were practicing it. Like,
right, yes. It looks like they filmed the rehearsal and said it's good enough.
Yeah. They're like, let's do it at half speed just so nobody gets hurt. And then they're like, that'll work.
Yeah. Well, So they slowly fight him over to the Rancor pit,
Right.
and he slowly falls into the Rancor pit, but he's hanging on. And then Fennec Shan shows up, get out of the way, and she throws a blade out of her rifle because she's got blades in the butt of her rifle, which
As one
that part
would.
of her is cool. I mean, she's got a weapon everywhere, right? Hits him in the hand. He falls in the Rancor pit. They shut it, right? Another one of the things that touches on Boba Fett's, I guess, his new attitude towards his employees. When he gets in there, he's wrapping a robe around himself, like Ebenezer Scrooge. He comes rolling in there, and he's like, and he looks over, and the Gamorrean guard that Chrysanthemum bit is laying on the floor, and they're trying to check on him. And he says, "Get him into my Bacta tank." Where before, Jabba or anybody else would have just fed him to a fucking Rancor.
Right.
So he cares about his people. So that's cool. They're developing the fact that Boba Fett actually cares about his people. So he sends him off to get healed. I think after that,
then they decide they need to see the mayor.
yes, because he and Fennec Shan's are talking about what should happen, and he's like, "I gotta retaliate," and she's like, the Huts show up first, right?
Oh, is that right?
I think the Huts show up. I was trying to watch it before this because they're talking about the Huts, and I don't remember. I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter.
Oh, so I think this is the scene. I think it's the mayor because then they go to see the mayor, and he they meet that guy, his aide at the front, and he's like, "Sorry, we don't have an appointment for a little while." Fennec Shan says, like, "You're either going to get the mayor or I'm shooting you," or something like that. And he's like, "Oh, I'll see if I can move something around." So he goes into the mayor's office, and then you hear the door go, and they look at each other and it's like, "Did he just lock the door?" So they go in, and they Fennec shoots the door thing out, go in, they realize that they snuck out the back. So they go to get him.
The Huts do show up right before this.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yes. They show up because they've brought him a tribute.
Oh, that's right. They bring him the Rancor.
They bring him a baby Rancor. And so one of my favorite memes was the Huts just showed up bringing Boba Fett, a hideous monster, and a Rancor. So they bring a Rancor asleep. He's sedated on this platform, right? It's a hovering platform, and it's a baby, right? So he's much smaller than the one Luke fought, I guess. They bring him in, and who's driving this goddamn thing but Danny Trejo?
Trejo, yep.
Right? I was like, as soon it was funny too, because even from a distance, as they were coming in, I was like, I looked at Heather, I said, "It's Danny fucking Trejo." I was like, holy shit. So yeah, that was the thing, because I knew there was a scene there where we were missing.
They talk about, we're getting out of here, like the Pikes are about to take over, this is a worthless rock anyway, let's go.
Yes,
we're going somewhere else. So they give him the tribute. Boba Fett lets Chrysanthemum go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's like, "Take off."
Yeah, he says, "Look, it was nothing personal, but don't work for assholes like that."
Yeah. So then Trejo explains to him that Rancors are actually emotionally sensitive, and they imprint on the first person. He's like, "Why does it have a blindfold on?" He's like, it'll imprint on the first human it sees.
Right.
So Trejo was going to train it.
He said he was saving it for himself, but the Huts gave it to you, so I'm here with it.
And then Boba's like, "Oh, let it see me first." And he starts to pet it and whatever, and it opens it. He takes the thing off and he opens his eyes and he imprints on Boba Fett. And he starts like scratched him behind his ears or whatever.
Yeah, like a dog, right? And it's funny too, because that entire time I was waiting, and Heather kept going, he's gonna get knocked into a fucking wall. like he's gonna get his ass kicked by this thing, right? And I was like, uh, yeah, but he said the thing imprints on him. Because there was a part of me that thought she was right. Like he was gonna get hit for like comedic effect,
Yeah.
but it never happened. And again, to the point of how slow they filmed everything in this episode, this whole scene is drawn out with him hitting the thing and talking to Danny Trejo, and which Danny Trejo, awesome. I love that guy, and I'm glad he's here. I hope
Machete's in the Star Wars universe. Yeah,
Machete's in the Star Wars. Yeah, so Machete in space. I hope he's in more than just this episode. He's got to be if this Rancor is going to come back. But the scene, while it dragged on, was cute because it gave you, again, you took a minor character that had like 5 minutes of screen time in Return of the Jedi, and you had another one of his species have like it's expanded upon about what it really is. Like, okay, no, Jabba might have had it just kept as a monster, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's like that was like another cool touch that Filoni and Favreau kind of throw in there. I'm like, I would have never thought of that kind of shit.
Yeah.
When I was watching it, I was like, that's cool, And when it ended and he didn't get knocked into a wall, while I guess I would have chuckled a little bit, I was happy because I was like, it's not going to happen. I see where they're trying to go with it, and I want to see where they go with him and the Rancor later. Because again, remember they talked about the Mandalorians riding the whatever dragon, something or whatever, into battle, and that's why he says, I want to
learn to ride it. Yeah,
ride him. Yeah, will you teach me to ride him? And
Trejo says something about somebody rode these in some sort of forest somewhere.
Yeah,
like some witches or something rode these things.
Yeah, the Witches of Deathamore.
Yeah,
that's another one from the expanded universe that they pulled out of their ass, and I was like, oh shit. But yeah, they used to ride them through the forest, and that's the connection to the Mandalorians riding these other dragon type of things. So Fett's like, I want to ride him. I'm gonna ride him into battle. Which is gonna be fucking.
That's gonna be
cool.
It's
gonna be amazing. It's gonna be cool when they finally do it. But so he gets his Rancor and he lets
maybe episode 5. Maybe episode 5.
Maybe. Probably not, but I mean, we only got like 2 more episodes to go.
So
it just dawned on me what you did there.
So then we do the scene. Sorry, we got our scenes mixed up because Eric's not here to help us.
Yeah.
So then we do the mayor's office.
Eric, watch this and laugh at us.
Yeah. So then we do the mayor's office. The assistant and the mayor sneak out the back, and then so the chase begins.
I don't think the mayor was ever even there.
Probably not.
The assistant was like, I'll shuffle some shit around, and then he goes in, and Boba Fett's like, did he just lock the fucking door?
Yeah, and it's clear that one or both of them snuck out the back.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the guy take off in his speeder, which I'll put in air quotes, and we'll talk about that in a second.
A land speeder.
Yeah.
Like Luke had in A New Hope.
Correct. That looked like it went fast in A New Hope. And then so we start the second worst filmed slow speed chase, the other worst one being O.J. Simpson in his white Bronco 100 years ago.
Close tie.
Yeah.
Close tie.
This one's the second worst.
Yeah, so, I'll give it to OJ just because I don't want him coming after me.
Yeah. So the mayor's assistant's off on his speeder, and the thing looks like it's going like 2 miles an hour. And so then Boba Fett sicks the mods on and's like, go get him. So they get on their things that literally look like space Vespas. They're colorful.
Okay. I saw a meme that was like, what is like Robert Robert Rodriguez made Spy Kids in Space. And I was like, yeah. Because this is like very bright little scooter bikes
Mhm.
that don't move.
They're like Vespas, and they're hover Vespas, and the whole thing again is
Hover
if
vessels.
the fight scene with Chrysanthemum is slow, this thing's even slower. This chase is slow, and it's weird because they didn't even make it look fast. Like when we're going through city streets and stuff, but it's slow. The thing is slow. I don't know what it is about this thing. Like the speeder bike looks like it's going slow. The Vespas look like they're going slow. When they go around corners, they're not. It
It's that
doesn't look
slow.
super fast. Yeah,
It's that slow right there.
right.
Yeah.
Um, and then the trope, it always hits some kind of fruit cart and blows fruit all over the place.
It
That
was
happened like 3
it
times.
was like a 70s, 80s car chase, but extremely slow.
Yep.
So this popped in my head. Paul, at one point, I think it was after Heather's had a couple of surgeries. You remember she's had like a hernia surgery, hysterectomy. One of them, I want to say it was the hernia surgery. She couldn't walk very well, but she wanted to go shopping a little bit before she got laid up in bed. And so I took her to Target, and they had the little scooters in the front. And I
Right.
said, "Get on it, and we'll go." And my wife. She's like, "Absolutely not." And I was like, "You're like on painkillers. Just get on the goddamn bike and let's go." Like I can't, like, if you get halfway to the back of the store, I can't carry you back. You have to get. So she's like, "Okay." So she gets on this thing. She figures out how to make it move. She moved faster to fucking Target and these goddamn speeder bikes. I was like, Jesus Christ.
You're watching it and you're like, what? I don't understand what's happening here. Why does this thing feel so slow?
And at the same time, he was filming it like something intense is about to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, nothing intense happens at 2 miles an hour.
No.
Trust me, ask my wife.
uh, and so eventually, uh, that I think Boba Fett finally comes down and rockets down and stops the speeder bike.
Yeah, something happens.
It ends up crashing, but Boba Fett like uses the rocket pack, and I'm like, why didn't you just do that at the beginning? The thing was moving super slow.
Much to Eric's point of why didn't he just rocket out of the shields in the episode 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of that in this series.
And so finally, when it crashes, the guy admits, "Hey, the mayor's not here. He's off with the pikes." And then you get this scene of coming at the spaceport. Some ship opens and there's like, I don't know, a dozen, 2 dozen pikes come down the thing.
Yeah.
And one of the guys with the little eye thing is watching and holograms into Boba Fett and Fennec that, hey, the pikes are here, and there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was it. The pikes are coming, and that's how they end that damn episode.
Yeah.
All right, so we're not going to do a "Hey, we're back" because we're still here. We're just going to roll right into episode 4. This one is, as far as I remember, mostly a flashback. And I say mostly I remember because we've had a lot going on this week, just between life and whatever else. But I just watched episode 5 today, and episode 5 is fresh in my head. So I'm trying to get that one out and work on 4. It's all pretty much, Bacta Tank right into a flashback of Fett. He was on his
He's on his bantha. He goes to Jabba's, looks and sees that he can't get, like, too many guards to go in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So remember, this is all happening prior to his
Yeah.
appearance in Mandalorian. So
There's some ship action in the sky,
mhm.
right? Some glowing stuff happens, and so he goes to check it out, and he finds Fennec Shand laying in the desert, right? Which is what happens in one of the early episodes of Mandalorian,
Yeah, one of the very early. No, not
season
very,
one,
season
right?
one.
Season one.
Y- Yes. Yeah, because she doesn't show back up again until season two.
Yeah, and I think
And it was a post
also
credit. He was a post credit scene. Fennec Shand was in that episode
yes,
because
with that kid,
it was
the
yes, it
yeah,
was Mando and a kid that wanted to be a bounty hunter and was trying
yeah,
to make a name for himself. So Mando decides he's going to help him make a name for himself. And while they're on whatever mission they're on, they come across Fennec Shand, who's an
he's like
assassin.
Mando's intern that episode.
Yeah, yeah. Can't even get him a Starbucks. So,
And there's a scene where as he's coming in like sort of near town, you see that woman, the curly haired woman that looks like Carla from Cheers,
yes,
that fixed Mando's ship, the one with the
Mhm.
droids.
She's walking through the town. Yes, I saw
Right.
that. There was a little cameo there that was cool.
Yeah. And
Um,
so we're getting into sort of present day, right?
yeah, the
What's
flashbacks are getting closer to the
correct? Present day. Stuff we've seen play out in the Mandalorian. He finds Fennec.
after the kid
Um,
shot her. Yeah,
correct. So she's gut shot. So he takes her to the mod guy that the kids told him about.
yeah, which is essentially their version of a tattoo parlor.
Essentially, yeah. um, and so he walks her in, and the guys, he puts some creds down, and he goes, no walk-ins, appointments only, but like a tattoo parlor.
Yeah,
And he throws some coins or whatever they are down, and he goes, she's about to die, I need to save her. And he's like, should have said that at the beginning. So then you see this weird scene of like him taking these parts and things and putting them in Fennec, and he's got some kind of Swiss Army knife robot hand that has a pair of pliers and a
it's got
saw or something
everything.
else. Yeah. And so he's going to work on her, and he fixes her midsection apparently, and
Yeah. Which you actually see later in when he and Fennec show up back in Mando season two, when Mando's like, I thought you were dead, and she pulls back the little cloth and shows her cyborg parts or whatever.
yeah.
So yeah, so
And so then they have this fireside where she's like, "What happened to me?" And she's like, "I saved you," and blah blah blah. And she's having some pain, I guess, from the surgeries and whatever. And so he gives her one of those black melons, and he's like, "It's kind of hard to get used to, but at some point you'll crave it." Uh, and he goes, "You're Master Assassin Fennec Shand." She's like, "Who are you?" He goes, "I'm Boba Fett." And she's like, "Nope, Boba Fett's dead."
that's yeah, what I was saying earlier. Yeah.
Yep. And he
Which
said,
again, he's just some hermit in a bunch of black robes saying
right, because
fucking Boba.
everybody knows Boba Fett by the sight of his armor, right? No one that we know has ever seen his face.
Yep.
Um, and so she's like, "Nope, Boba Fett's dead." And he said, I forget how he says it. He's like, "I thought I was." I don't know. He says something like, he doesn't say I got better, but he says, "No, I survived."
Yeah,
And
basically, yeah. He says something not cryptic, but uh he kind of a little bit of insight given to how he thinks about what happened, but I forget what he says. But yeah, he's basically like, no, I thought I was dead, but I came out of it.
yeah. And he alludes to, at some point, that he was with the Tuscans for maybe years,
long time. Yeah,
a long time.
yeah. We were talking about this off air because I'm going to edit everything. But I'm trying to figure out, and we'll have to go online and see if anyone's already figured out the timeline, because here obviously is pretty close to before, like right before they get his armor back from Mando, right? Because he just saved her, and then they're gonna go back and get his armor, and then you see him in Mando, or he gets his armor from Mandalorian. Uh, if he's been with the Tusken Raiders for years, exactly how long has passed since Return of the Jedi? Because again, we've already done the spoiler alert, but at the end of last season of Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker fucking shows up. And
Yep.
now the deep fake thing they did, he looks very close to how he looked in Return of the Jedi. And again,
Okay.
there's you can have some time there where you still kind of look the same, but he was close. So how much time really passed?
Okay. According to so I just Googled it. According to Screen Rant, screenrant.com, Book of Boba Fett's, according to Star Wars canon, the events from Return of the Jedi happen in 4 ABY, right? After the Battle of Yavin.
Okay.
While The Mandalorian Season 2, where Fett reappeared, is set in 9 ABY.
Okay. All right. So not that many years, but a couple of years.
So it says the Book of Boba Fett doesn't provide what happened to Boba in those 5 years in between, but it's likely he spent longer with the Tuskens than it seems. For starters, the impact the Tuskens had on Boba suggests his time with them was longer than a few months. As he emerged from his stays with them, a changed man.
Yeah.
Although he was initially held against his will, the Tuskens eventually led him into their tribe and showed him how to fight the way they did. When Boba Fett met Fennec Shand in the Book of Boba Fett flashback, he shared that he owed what he became to the Sand People, and now he needed to avenge them, blah, blah, blah. That sort of bond or quest for revenge doesn't come about from a casual connection. Bonds are strong, they're forged over time.
So
yeah.
5 or 6 years.
Yeah. And you got to figure he comes out of the pit, right? He couldn't have been in there very long, right? Or he was starved to death.
Yeah, we talked about it. We were like maybe a few weeks top. Well, not even a few weeks, maybe a few days, because the wreckage from Jabba's ship was still there.
And still smoldering, right? Wasn't it still smoldering, sort of?
Yeah, a little bit. And the Jawas show up pretty quick to any kind of wreckage, and they showed up right after that and took his armor.
Yeah.
So he was in there maybe a day or two tops.
Yeah. So he alludes to this time with the Tuskens and that it changed him. And then he I think it's this scene, or maybe it was it's after. He gets her better. They go to, I think this is the point, right? They go back to Jabba's palace.
Right.
She takes that thing.
The little sphere, the spy sphere,
the little drone thingy, right? It goes in and figures out how many guards there are, and then they go assault the palace. And there's a scene where when they go in, they end up in the kitchen, and there's a droid that's got like 6 arms, each with a cleaver, and it's just hacking away at stuff.
Yeah.
And the other one's cooking, and they end up going through there. And then there's this little tiny, there's like a rat catcher bot droid that comes in later. And so when they get in there, Fennec and Boba Fett end up fighting off these droids. Fennec slashes the throat of the thing with the 6 arms with the knives. And then this weird thing happens. Boba Fett grabs the little rat catcher bot and he puts it up against the thing. He's like, "Do you know who I am?" And I'm like, why would he ask a droid? How would a droid know who you are? Like a rat catcher droid. How would a rat catcher droid know who you are?
Well, he did spend a lot of time in Jabba's palace.
But he tells him, "I'm Boba Fett," and the guy's like, "Boop, shut down." He's just like, "Forget it, man, I'm out." And the rat catcher droid like shuts itself down.
Yeah. So at least one thing in this whole
knew him by reputation, right? Which we just talked about for episode 3. They managed to get through like,
and it's the only droid with a flip switch. Right,
self-destructive. Yeah, like I could turn myself off. They go and they get through the guards. They get to where Boba Fett's ship is. he runs. Fennec ends up taking out there's a bunch of different kinds of guards, different races of creatures. She ends up shooting a bunch of them. Boba Fett knocks a couple out, gets the ship, powers it up. It's stuck, like he can't get it out. Eventually, she shoots something that raises one of the gates, and he flies it out. And then I think they have they have another talk where they're sitting together. I'm sorry. He gets the ship, and he's like, "Hold on, I got to do something."
Yeah.
And he flies it, and he finds the biker gang that destroyed the Tusken Raider village where he lived for so long.
Yep.
And just massacres them.
He kills them all. Yeah.
All of them.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty great.
Yeah. It's sweet.
Then he's like, okay, I got to go get my armor. I think it's in the Sarlacc pit, which I was confused about.
Well, I think because he was, if you remember when he crawled out of the pit, you can kind of see he was exhausted and a little delirious, and the Jawas pretty much quickly knocked him out and took his armor.
Yeah.
So I kind of, I caught on to that part where, but the last time he remembered having the armor was at the Sarlacc pit.
But he knows that he used the torch to cut. You would think he would remember. I used my torch to cut through the thing. I got out. I remember being out, and then I passed out. So he's like, the last thing I remember, I was out.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, I don't know. Concussions are a funny thing,
So he flies the ship to the Sarlacc pit. And then because the way that are we still calling it Slave One? Are we still allowed to do that?
No, actually, I was going to make a point of this. This episode, he never refers to it as Slave One. Don't cancel us. That's what it used to be called.
That's what they call it.
Sorry. That was the name of the ship, and it was cool. So, too bad.
Be clear, slavery not cool.
Yeah, no, the name of the ship, cool. Because he was a bounty hunter. Get it? He says, I need to get my ship, but he refers to it as whatever Disney is referring to it as now, those fire ski spray, whatever the fuck they're calling it. So he refers to it as that. And then they get it.
Fire spray gunship.
There you go. The fire spray gunship. Yeah. He's like, I need to go get my fire spray or some shit like that. So he definitely does not refer to it as Slave One.
It sits vertically almost, right? So like you sit, I don't know if we're on video or not, but
yeah, we will be. So you sit here.
You sit here, right? And so you can fly it sort of vertical and looking at something. So he flies it down sort of into the pit as close as you can get, looking for the armor. And he's got some flash, it's got a spotlight thing and it's looking around.
Yep.
And he doesn't see anything. And then the mouth pops up and there's kind of a jump scare. Mouth pops up, tentacles come out, grabbing the edge, pulling it down. Can't get out. Blasters aren't working. There's a button which looks clearly like just out of Fennec Shan's reach.
Yep.
That's flashing or doing something. She finally unstraps.
That was my one problem with this entire episode. Was why the hell that button just start flashing? Like the ship knows what to do.
Right, like push me.
Yeah.
She unhooks, gets up, hits it, and it's that we saw this in season 2 of The Mandalorian when Boba Fett comes to help him. This
depth charge looking thing.
Yeah. Which releases it. It drops into the Sarlacc's mouth, which I thought the whole thing was the mouth, but apparently there is a mouth in there.
Well, when we you and I first watched Return of the Jedi, the whole thing was a mouth.
Yeah.
When Lucas decided to go back and fuck with shit, eventually it had a beak.
Right.
Which I've never liked. Never, ever liked. The whole thing being a mouth with like fangs sticking out of it, that
right, with rows and rows of descending fangs. Yeah.
Yes, that's much more scarier than a goddamn Little Shop of Horrors beak.
Right. That's exactly what it reminded me of. That's right.
Yes.
So that it
As
drops
it
the
goes
bomb
out for
thing.
Boba Fett. Feed me,
Yeah.
Seymour.
Yeah, into Audrey. I think that thing's name is Audrey.
Audrey.
It lands, and then the thing's right, like miles through the desert, like get this giant impact thing.
So it's definitely dead this time.
Yeah. So they fly back, and then I think they land and they have this conversation about. He's like, we've both worked for some idiots. These guys always cause the death of their employees,
Yep.
because they're more interested in. He says it more eloquently than this, but he's like, they're just interested in power for power's sake, and they sort of don't care. And
Right.
I think we can do it differently. He's like, so
Yes.
I'm going to take over. I want to be a boss, but I'm going to do it differently.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want you to come work for me. And she's like, no,
Yeah.
I'll
No.
do jobs for you. And he's like, no, I'm going to cut you in. You're not just going to be an employee. Like, I'm going to cut you in on the profits, and I'm going to pledge my life to save yours, and you'll pledge yours to save mine. And I will do that for everybody that comes to work for me. And he gets this, like, you come to realize in this scene that the time with the Tuscans has taught him a different way of living.
Yep.
And he's changed. And finally, like, he's been acting like this since episode 1, and you're like, what are you doing?
Why? Yeah. Why you like this now? Yeah.
Right. And it took till episode 4 to finally explain, like, oh, okay, I get it now. And I feel like episode 1 was cool because there was all the Sarlacc stuff to explain, and how'd you get out, and then what happened, and whatever. But it's episode 4. We only have 6 episodes, and I get there's probably going to be a second. I hope there's going to be a second season of this. Episode
I hope
3,
so.
Episode 3 notwithstanding.
I'm really enjoying it. So.
And only because it's Star Wars, and we've seen better out of Favreau and Filoni. So
Yeah.
better than episode 3. So, okay, we're finally at the place now where we understand his motivations through all of these episodes, and we get why he acts differently. And you're like, all right, I can rock with this. And then I think we come back to sort of present time, and he pulls together all the other families.
Yeah.
He's got the Trandoshans and whatever the things Greedo is, and somebody else, the walrus-looking teeth guys.
Yeah.
And he brings those families together, and he says, "Look," and he has to take. He has his banquet table, and it's over his Rancor pit.
Yeah.
Like, he goes, "Look, I brought y'all together. Here's what's happening. Right, the Pikes are coming, and they're going to take over the whole planet, and they're going to kill us. And so we need to fight together. And I need your help." And they're kind of like, "No."
Yeah.
And then they say something like, "What are you going to do?" And then
what they say, what makes you think you can make us do what you want?
Right.
And then the Rancor like hits the top. Hits the top of his cage and rattles the whole table.
Yeah.
They see the claws pop up, and they all jump back. And he goes, "Sit." He's just a little hungry, and he feeds him. And he looks, and he says, "All I want is when it comes time for the war with the Pikes, you to stay out of the way."
Yeah, he goes, "I'll do it myself. Because I'll go fight them. You guys just when the Pikes come to you for deal to sell me out, you guys just stay neutral."
You stay neutral.
And they're like, okay.
They all say, okay. Yeah. So that Rancor part was funny because you don't realize it's over the Rancor pit until he pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
So then he has this conversation with Fennec, and he's like, "I guess we need to go get some muscle." And she's like, "Yeah." He goes, "We have credits, but we don't have muscle." And she goes, "Credits can buy you muscle if you know where to look."
Yep.
And so they go into town, and they go to the what's her name? I can't think of her name.
The
Jennifer Beals.
Quillick. Yeah.
Yeah, they go to her place, and they're in there, and it's casino's going fine, and you see Chrysanthemum is just getting hammered,
Yeah.
and
He's
and
pissed.
uh and then he just flips out for some reason. I can't remember. I don't know. I don't even know what sets
Because
him
he's
off.
watching the little assholes having a good time gambling, and he
Yeah,
just got mad because his life is ruined.
yeah. So he just loses his mess, and he gets up and he just starts this fight. Um, and he's whipping like three guys, and he's got one in this bear hug, and she comes out and she's like, hey, um, we all loved seeing you in the gladiator games, and you were awesome, and we cheered for you, but that was a different time. Like, we don't do this anymore. We don't cheer violence anymore, and you can still do this, but like, it's not a good look, Chrysanthemum. Like, just let him go.
What does it gain you to do this? It's not gonna,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
she's like, you've run up quite a tab, and I tell you what, if you just let him go, we'll consider it. We'll call your bar tab,
It'll be on the house.
square. And she's like, you could rip his arms off if you wanted to, but there's no need. Like, come on, and whatever. And he looks at her.
He
And he's
looks
just
at her
like,
for a second, like,
and he goes, and I thought he was just gonna put him down, and then he just rips the guy's arm off. And then he throws him down, and he pays his bill.
he
He's like,
throws
"Here."
he throws the credits at her.
Yeah. And then he walks out, and Boba Fett follows him out, and he's like, hey, you need a job?
Yeah.
Come work for me.
Yeah. Oh, and when I saw that, I was, because I knew it was gonna happen when he let him go. I was like, he's coming back. I'm like,
Yeah.
watch. I mean, he's gonna hire his ass too, because you don't let a Wookiee walk around and not fucking make him come work for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So they do that, and then I don't know if I'm not sure if that's where it ends, or if there's more to it than that. I think he hires him near the very end, and then she's like, I can go. She says the thing about muscle, but I don't remember. I think that was before they go and get Chrysanthemum.
Yeah.
And then he says vaguely something about like, all right, let's get ready for war.
It does show when the other families are leaving, and she asks him, do you trust them? And he said, basically, like, they're too dumb to realize if the Pikes are going to take over or not, or some shit like that. So basically, like, yeah, I know they're going to stand in my way, and that's kind of how the episode ends, basically.
Right. Because, yeah, he says something. Yeah, exactly. The Pikes are just going to kill all of us. Right. So
Yeah. Yeah, I forget 100% exactly what he says, but basically he just says they're too stupid to realize what's going to happen, and they'll stay out of the way, and that's how it ends. But I was going to say something in there. There's a spot in there where, like when we're talking about him and Fennec Shan, the little bond that they start to develop with him going to get a ship and whatever, and she starts to respect him a little bit here and there. Because the whole time when he's talking to her about coming to work with him, for him, whatever, and like you said, looking out for each other, and she's just like, nope, she wants to do her own thing. It's at the very end of that when they get back into his fire spray, whatever. And they go to take off. She's sitting next to him in it, which that was the first time I realized that thing actually had like a co-pilot chair. Like, I thought it was just a one-man cockpit there. She's sitting next to him, and she puts her foot up on the thing. He says, I can drop you off wherever you want, because she's leaving him. He's like, where do you want me to drop you off? And she goes, well, where are you headed to? And she said, well, he said, I'm going to go get my armor. I'm going to do this and that. And she puts her foot up on the dash, and she's like, oh, I'll hang along for the ride.
yeah.
And he smirks at her. And that's when like they got like, okay, she said yes without saying yes.
There's another scene where when he gets out of after that last flashback, the droid says, congratulations, sir, you're fully healed.
Yes.
So I'm assuming no more back to tank means no more flashbacks. right? That's been the vehicle for flashbacks, right? The first scene is back to tank, then we get a flashback. Then
Yeah,
we're back to tank, no more flashbacks.
and you would think
Presumably.
that, and of course, if they ever need a flashback, all they got to do is hurt them a little bit and shove them in the tank.
I guess, yeah.
You've got a vehicle for that.
Yeah.
Which is cool because they've at least written that into the show where that's where you're going to get a flashback. Where again, like when we first talked about episodes 1 and 2, I said, as long as they don't do the flashbacks like Arrow did, where it just became a nuisance, basically, and it hasn't been. It's told you the backstory, and they brought you up to a lot quicker than I thought they were. I said at the time, by the end of the series, it's going to marry up with his time with Mandalorian and everything, and they've already hit it because they got Fennec and the rest, so you don't have to do anymore. So yeah, I think we're probably done with the flashbacks unless they absolutely need one, and then you'll get one. So sweet. All right.
So yeah, this sets up some exciting stuff to come in episode 5, I assume. Boba Fett doing a bunch of stuff, being in the whole episode,
kicking it with the cyborg gang, and
being in the whole episode. It'll be awesome.
This is gonna be great. So all right, so overall thoughts on 3 and 4. 3 was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And again, I know you can't knock them all out of the park. And after Mandalorian and everything else, you got to give Favreau and Filoni a little bit of leeway. I'll just lay the blame on Rodriguez's feet. It's his fault. Fuck him. The episode wasn't great. I mean, it gave you some exposition onto like the mods and whatever was going on with them, but and how he builds his gang. Fett builds the gang up, but it was a slow episode. It sucked. 4 was much better.
Or at least you now understand, like, okay, I understand you now.
Showing you the bond between him and Fennec, or how they met and how they moved from the first few moments together, that was a lot of fun. So I liked 4 way more than I liked 3. 3 was definitely a dead spot. I saw and understood all the complaints on 3. I got it, but still, I mean, I love this series. I mean, I've wanted to see something about Boba Fett for a while, and again, like we said, Star Wars fans are just toxic. So they suck.
Your favorite restaurant has an off night, right?
Yeah, and 3 was it. 3 was
correct.
3 was, their head chef got sick and they had to call somebody.
Right.
It was bad. It was not good at all. But overall, still, the series is really going well. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, sometimes you burn dinner and pick it up and you go forward. And episode 4, I think, redeemed it. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see what comes next, and to ultimately sort of see where this goes, and then hopefully hear about season 2.
Yeah, I'm praying this is season 2, because you can do so much with this thing, and I don't know outside of a season 2 what else you would do with the Boba Fett character. I know he's intertwined with Mando and this and that and whatever, but I mean, you can have them cross over and do whatever, but you can do it just like you do any other show where they cross over into each other's series, but they still have their own series. You can still do this for a long time. You can at least get 3-4 seasons out of this thing. I think it'd be all right. All right, cool. You got any more notes?
Well, that's all I got.
All right, that's all I got. So let us know what you thought of these 2 episodes. How much you couldn't stand episode 3, because we've seen it all over the internet, and
right.
How much episode 4 kind of redeemed it. Like, subscribe, ring a bell. Stay tuned for next week when we review the pilot of season 3 of The Mandalorian. I mean, episode 5 of Boba Fett. You'll get that later. And yeah, just hit us up. Tell us what you think and what else you want us to talk about. Be it 2 of us, 3 of us, or I mean, if you want to get on Facebook Live and chat with one of us, we can try to figure that shit out too. Whatever. We'll talk to anybody.
We're here for you.
Yeah, we're here for you. All 2 of you. Yes. All right. Hit us up at whatifgeeks.com, whatifgeeks@gmail.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we will see you next week. Good night, Tony.
Good night, Space Machete.
And there's no forever tonight.
No, there's not. Good night, episode 3 forever.